Hello, this is Krista here with you again today. And today I want to start discussing the topic of narcissistic grandparents. This is probably one of the biggest ones for me. As I know, I usually get on here and talk about my exes. As I delve deeper into understanding what narcissism is, and the cluster B with psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, and borderline and all of that. Um, I've really been beginning to see it within my own family. Though I thought that I did have a hold on it and that I somehow knew, well, I'm not going to blame myself here because narcissism is so dastardly anyways. And sometimes I think it takes us longer to process and learn, at the right time, get the right learnings at the right time to move on with the next phase of recovery in our own lives. And sometimes it's a fight out here when you still have to deal with certain kinds of people. And especially loved ones that you held so near and dear all your life, like the people that raised you. But for many years, you've seen them shit on you a lot, especially if it was covert, kind of more subtly done here and there. Maybe they were really good actors, and you never really saw it before. But as I do see my parents go into older age and fall with illness, and then I think that makes it a little bit more seeable, and just what you thought was norm and ordinary growing up, and that you might have got that alcohol or drug problem, or thought maybe you were crazy all of your life because maybe people told you that. Maybe there was people that kept you on drugs to keep a hold of you. There's so much stuff about this topic that I don't even know where to delve in at. I just found this amazing woman online, and sometime I will give her name, and all of hers are actually about the narcissistic grandparents. And this was a huge one for me because up until this point, I was not sure if my mother was just a classic codependent, or with maybe just some traits of narcissism. But now, as I'm awakening and I'm beginning to leave that kind of triangulated, manipulated, narcissistic family unit, and just really start to get out of that by, number one, learning all I can and continue to learn about narcissism, stepping away from that and starting to get into my own self-help and recovery, learning to connect and self-love and everything is the next phase, I believe, in the recovery. And from there, you're going to start as you disconnect from these types of people, be it as if you're the scapegoat and you're kicked out, or hopefully you will see it and know that not being a part as much of that family, or completely apart from that family now with the no contact, is actually very helpful instead of a hindrance. Even if you still might have children that are with the narcissist or the narcissistic grandparents in my case. Um, because you will start being able to identify who you are, and you are not, your identity is not taken by these individuals who just basically smash it or ignore it into the ground until you're believing that you don't even have thoughts anymore, and you don't know what to do with yourself, and you don't know what to do with your life, and you don't even know how to have a thought or what you want or what you need or what you feel anymore. This is all the ways that they've made you feel disconnected, and took that control over you, along with other siblings, like more of the golden child type siblings, or more victim type siblings that do nothing but play along into it, and will never find another way, because as the golden child usually does is please that narcissistic family like 100% of the time, where they revolve around those people to make them feel important in every single way, and then they themselves become narcissists, with traumas as well that go along with that, and a lot of control. And there are so many different types of control that the narcissistic individuals can keep you down with, especially a family unit. So I'm going to talk about mine. I'm going to start giving you more of my story here. And as I've been studying narcissism for a couple of years, probably about 2.5 years now, maybe more than that, maybe it's been more like 3. I wish that I knew it all by now, but unfortunately we have to have patience with ourselves, and that sometimes we are like onions, uncovering parts of ourselves, and maybe starting to see people as who they are when their masks start slipping, when they no longer have or can gain that control over you, when you start learning and seeing right through the tactics that they're using. And even the more extreme covert types that don't give it away, I'm learning lately, as I finally decide one of the choices I want to make in my life is a different career. And that is addiction coaching. So I think one of the foremost things is when I walked into that house the other day, and this is around Thanksgiving, okay? So usually the family does it a certain way every year, maybe with other relatives, but it is always done the same way. Where I really had a fallout with one of my uncles in the past years, as I am completely left out of basically the whole social thing with a lot of these narcissists, because I am an empath, and empaths are scapegoats, where they can see through it a lot more and how ugly it is. In my case, being left out, like being ignored and never communicated with on, be it Facebook, phone calls, or anything whatsoever, just communication was just completely shut off. And I really started going through the grief and the cycle, the isolation cycle, and just after I hit that rock bottom with my last ex and drugs, and lost my children. Although now I see that my children, I had already lost my children to my parents. So then is kind of when I started to think differently and know that the old way of living was not working for me anymore, and I was doing some big changes within myself. And be it if you're come to that place of a nervous breakdown where you can no longer take any more of people shattering you, you know, in whatever way that that may be. You know, they do it on purpose. That's their name of the game. As I'm learning that narcissists, even when you start confronting the parental people in your life, is extremely hard, because all your life you are led to believe that they were saints, or they were always there to give you money, maybe if they had money, and things, but then would take it away just as fast if you rebelled against it at all, or you know, try to choose your own path instead of the path that they have set with you, which they have complete control over you. Even when they're saying, well, I'm not like that, and they're totally, of course, going to make you believe that they are not like that at all, because number one, they're not going to see it about themselves, and number two, if they do, it's just that they have a mental illness, and it's dangerous. You know, it's kind of hard for me to talk about, because I'm going through it right now, and the grief is already starting and everything. And when these people lash out at you, it's all for spite usually, and it's all just to hurt you more, to make you comply. And if you do not comply, then they're usually going to throw you out of the picture. You know, they're going to throw you under the bus, or whatever, as the narcissistic trait goes. Where, you know, in relationships, that term throwing under the bus means oftentimes when we are with other narcissists in relationships, what happens is that narcissist is going to manipulate you so much and want everybody out of the picture, including even your own kids a lot of the times, will force you to throw your own children under the bus. And that happens a lot. It is very, very, very possible, though, and that things can change around, and you don't have to be with that partner anymore, or in that family dynamic where people around you are just using maybe subtle threats or manipulation or force to try to get you to do things, and also to take your own children and turn your own children against you. This is often done in relationships, and just narcissistic relationships of all kinds, where they're going to triangulate everybody around them, including even your own children, and start saying things like, you're getting mad at them because you're not mentally okay, and that you're going against them because there's something wrong with you, or making you out to be this dangerous individual when you stand up to their things. And you know, when you start pushing out that door and you no longer want to listen to it or be a part of it, but the thing is that a lot of times when we are in these relationships for years and years and years, they can use our kids against us, or animals, or any types of people or things against us for money and just whatever, and have you feeling like you're just a little kid, even if you're like 40 years old like I am, and make you feel small and like, you know, like you are not even capable of taking care of your own children, uh, because, and they'll even make reasons up. Like you're a drug addict, or even when, like, I for myself have been clean for a number of years now, and what I find really interesting about watching this dynamic in my own family is coming to the conclusion that my mother is not just a codependent, but she is a narcissist herself, and my father is a psychopath. So um, things have been much more calculative in this family, and like I said, it's kind of hard for me to come to this realization, but it's really opening to my eyes when I watch their reaction when I tell them that I'm becoming a substance abuse coach, or addiction coach. And they, when I have told them this recently, they have both acted like, well, my father just keeps telling me to get a job. It's like it, way over the head, I have to keep repeating myself. And then, even with my mom, when I have started talking about it lately, and then she wants to ask me 50 questions, but I'm really having a hard time sitting down anymore and just blabbing my mouth like they have made you do all your life, and to act like they really care or are compassionate or empathetic at all, when it's usually just a fake facade. But it can be very believable, and they can really make you believe this, or they're going to threat that there's something wrong with you again, and it goes back into that same cycle. And and they will tell all the rest of the family too, and even your friends and places and things. They can even like go into triangulation and also smear campaigning, just things against you, like tell you all these things, like maybe brag about all your nice qualities, but then in the end start talking about things that they don't like about you, and just cutting you down to people. And you always hope that maybe that person will change, but when you start realizing that these people are as nasty as you thought, maybe, when you can start breaking through that and going your own way and separating yourself from these people, it's like night and day. If you're still in the nightmare part of it, kind of like I am, because when you're not really confronting these people, but then in a way it is, because that's when they start losing power. And I remember we were fighting about Thanksgiving because I have a small apartment right now, and they have a very large house. And I've still played into it for a long time, just gradually kind of loosening that hold. But it seems like it's like this right now, And I remember that all of a sudden, when she had agreed to that I could have the large dining room on a certain day, because I refused to go to the one that they always do, which is one up where my uncle is. And I refused this year. I said I don't get along with him, and I don't really want to be a part of that one. And so I'm just having one here with my children, and I've got an adult children already that's throwing one of her own this year. And And I remember that she had said yes to that day, and then all of a sudden turns around and says no, she is having that day for a big luncheon for her and some other family that usually who they will invite around them are other narcissistic types of individuals or people that have to comply and are still in that bonded chain family unit that are easily manipulated and controlled. So she invites a bunch of those people over, and I just felt so disgusted this time, like, because I have been on the edge lately, really, of I just can't stand anything anymore. And now it's kind of like I broke loose of it um, during this time right now and started really seeing what was really the biggest thing that I couldn't stand right now. And it like bursted in my face. So, um, I'm probably going to have to do 2 videos on this. I'll run it for about 4 more minutes. But, you know, the biggest thing about, I did confront her. I went and I found, and my kids and I all got together. They're all in their house, living still. Um, And we all agreed that we would have it at my little small apartment, and I would just make do. And because, I really was just done with throwing anything more in her home. Um, because, and then they can be very jealous and envious. Um, they want everything, they want to take everything from you. Um, and it can even be your own children. It does not matter to them. It could be like taking money from you. It could be taking material things from you. Whatever it is, they do it. And it's like kind of like out of spite because they can never have enough. Maybe that addiction thing or whatever. But it's so compulsive that it's out of control and it's not even in your hands. Even though I know that a lot of times we want these types of people to change because we still do have a place of love in our hearts. But I think sometime we're going to have to realize that they're more dastardly, and their intentions are not good, and they're actually harmful. Um, you know, so what happened? Just this little quick story was that after we decided, I was mad. I felt like I wanted to stand up to her. And just kind of disgustedly, I told her, this is in the other faraway room, that I was having Thanksgiving with my children at my house. But I kind of told her that she was a hog. Like she wanted to hog the whole thing. And I might not have said it the right way, but at that time I was just getting into that stage where they start poking at your most vulnerable wounds and your plans and everything for a family holiday or whatever. And they just twist it like it's all your fault, which is oftentimes what happens in the cases of turning your own grandchildren against you. And I was learning last night about child abductions by grandparents too. That was a big one that I was listening to last night. There is different ways that they can abduct. And I'm being quite serious. And maybe some of you can relate with me out there with your own stories about your own children and how you might no longer have them want to come to your house anymore, or not want to contact you via phone or text or anything, and are just totally block off from you because of what they are being brainwashed with the other narcissistic caretakers. So, yes, this is very heavy. But it is a big thing that I deal with. I do try to stay in contact with my children as much as I can. And even I've just had to kind of stick it out and just kind of not really play along, but in a way just keep learning about things and maybe not talking to them as much as I used to and be chummy with them like everything is great, because now I see what's happening. Um, they can go to extreme measures sometimes into turning other people against you. And the lady said on her video that it's because they are just wanting to hurt you. They're just really wanting to hurt you. If you are no longer playing their games or whatever, or they've outcasted you. That happens a lot to the scapegoat victim. Um, so I'm going to stop this now and I'm going to do another video. Thanks for watching. Don't miss the next one.